number one contender right now, Keyshawn Davis, who's set to face off against Dennis Baranchik February 14th. It's going to be an epic fight. It's going to be a title fight. But right now, it's a lot of information coming out on Keyshawn Davis, and it will be over the next couple of weeks. But right now, he's saying a lot about Tank Davis, and he's not moving off of that name as far as the guy he wants to face. And once he has a belt, it's not going to be easy to deny him. A lot of people don't want him to have that fight right now, but Keyshawn Davis is a guy who's locked in, and he wants to show the world that everything they said over the years about him is definitely a mistake, and he's here to prove them wrong. But with the Andy Cruz situation, we've heard Andy Cruz recently calling Keyshawn my son and saying that he's his dad and Keyshawn's dad or whatever because he beat him multiple times in the amateurs and as well as in the Olympics. But right now, a lot of news coming out from Keyshawn Davis saying that he just wants to face off against Tank Davis right now, and Andy Cruz, he has to build himself up in the pros. Is different. A lot of people don't know who he is, and that Keyshawn is just focused on fighting guys like Tank Davis. And I could sit back and just be picky and say, hey, you know what? He needs to fight Andy Cruz. He lost to Andy Cruz. But Tank Davis is the best there is right now. So at the end of the day, if we could have somebody who's willing to face Tank Davis and they're a champion, yeah, Keyshawn Davis needs to focus on that fight. Because let's be realistic. Andy Cruz only has a handful of fights in the pros. The guys he's faced, he hasn't really been overly impressive, even though those guys he faced came to fight. And also, just overall, I'm not really in a rush to just say Andy Cruz is a guy who's ready for Keyshawn Davis right now, even though he beat him a couple times. But his name is not being mentioned with a Tank Davis, or the other contenders at 135. It's not even mentioned with a Floyd Schofield. You gotta think about that. Andy Cruz's name ain't been mentioned with Floyd Schofield, Shakur Stevenson, De Los Santos, Tank Davis, anybody you could think of at 135. The only person they mention him with is Keyshawn Davis. So right now, it doesn't seem like anybody believes in Andy Cruz to beat anybody, even Tank Davis. I've heard a couple people mention that they think there'll be a tough fight. I do as well. Doesn't mean he's going to beat him, but I think it's a tough fight. Styles make fights, and Keyshawn Davis is very confident. I haven't heard somebody like Andy Cruz, who should be the first one, calling out somebody like Tank Davis. With the background, the amateur experience, and the accolades and the achievements you have, you definitely should be calling out a guy like Tank Davis. Why not? You're close to the same age. He definitely needs to be calling him out. You're only a year younger than Tank Davis. I know Tank Davis just turned 30, so he might be 2 years younger right now. But sooner or later, Andy Cruz will be turning 29. He might turn 29 over the next couple of months. But that's a fight that he needs to be looking towards. Tank Davis is only a year ahead of him. So he needs to be looking towards guys like that. And that's more his category. He has more achievements at the amateur level in the Olympics than Tank Davis does. So you would think that he would come into the game like targeting him immediately, but that's not the case. So for Keyshawn to be doing that, it's not a lot of people that's willing to face Tank Davis right now. Not the way that Keyshawn is trying to. He's trying to go in there and actually try to defeat Tank Davis, not get his paycheck. Not saying other guys that went in there did that, but I'm just saying he's going there to get a win, not a paycheck. These other guys go in there just get a paycheck. That's why he said, I want to fight Tank Davis now, in his prime, while he's the best. While we sitting here right now, we have the opportunity. Lomachenko ain't going to fight him right now. Dennis Baranchik ain't going to do it. They want Shakur Stevenson to jump in the ring with Tank, but we know that situation just not happening. I mean, right now, ain't nobody fighting Tank right now. So Keyshawn trying to make that happen. I know he's fighting Lamont Roach, but like I said, Keyshawn trying to make that happen. He's going to be a champion at 135. It's going to be hard to deny him. He just got to focus on this fight coming up with Dennis Baranchik, which I think he's going to be able to dominate at. Still going to be a tough fight. But Tank Davis is the guy that people need to be calling out right now. And for him to be doing it, yeah, we definitely focus on that. But Andy Cruz, he still has to be impressive. I heard he's fighting February. We're gonna see what he does, man. He needs to be impressive. He needs to have some things going on. Last fight was good, but it wasn't a showstopper. It definitely wasn't something that a lot of people brag about. So got to think about that as well. But for his highlight to be the only thing as far as beating Keyshawn Davis, uh, without Keyshawn Davis, he don't really have any highlights as far. I already know he's a gold medalist, but I'm talking about as far as in the pros, whatever. Hasn't really made his mark yet, but he definitely has made some moves. But I understand what Keyshawn's saying about that. Not saying he wouldn't fight him, but if you're gonna have a belt right now and a unification fight with Tank Davis would be the best thing to happen right now. For Tank to fight for two belts. Who don't want to see Tank Davis fight for two belts? That wouldn't make a lot of sense to me. But for Keyshawn to make that move, makes a lot of sense. Tank Davis fight for two belts, possibly. Yeah, make that happen.